Rec Set Annually Productions
presents The Beat Factory. Welcome to The Beat Factory. Alright, this is Lukefahr, the most knowledgeable musician you've probably never even heard of. Here in The Beat Factory, we're going to talk about new music, we're going to talk about old music. We're not even going to do a bio with me because hopefully it'll come up in conversation. I'm hoping, maybe one day we'll have some guests, maybe people can give me suggestions of stuff that I should talk about, stuff I shouldn't talk about. So without further ado, it's going to get started. The first one we're going to talk about, and it's something that I was kind of excited about to listen to because I saw the trailer on the YouTube. I always dig into the YouTube, try to find new music, and the new 2Chainz album, Pretty Girls Like Trap Music. I was excited. I don't know if you guys had seen the trailer where it was like Drake and it was like other producers were like, oh my god, this is like exactly what I've been waiting for. This is like exactly what made me want to do hip hop. And so I said, okay, Drake, I like your music. Maybe you have good taste in music. And having listened to a lot of music, especially by the producers he works with, specifically Murder Beats and Michael Made It, I thought, okay, let's see what 2Chainz is going to do. Because 2Chainz has been working a long time trying to get his name out. Meaning that he's been doing this forever. You take the amount of effort it takes to get to radio level, to be working with people like Kanye, to be working with Drake, just big names. You've been working behind the scenes for years. That's what I'm trying to say. Well, and so listening to this fourth studio album, I was expecting a lot, but 2Chainz was. I've heard people say that he's not the kind of guy that I look for an album. When you listen to albums, you want to be able to sit down and play start to finish. And the reason I think you've got an hour and a half is because you're supposed to create a story. You're supposed to give me start to finish. I want to sit here and listen to it. I want to enjoy it. But 2Chainz doesn't. He's never been able to give me a something that I'm going to sit through the entire time and not get distracted. Probably the best thing to say about the Pretty Girls album is that you could definitely tell he's working with Michael Made It, Murder Beats, Mike Dean. These are the guys that, if you listen to the radio now, these are the producers that sometimes people don't know the name, but they're the ones who are making the radio edits. People like that, the trap music, they like that the heavy bass lines, whatever that 808 sounds coming out of, it's those guys, it's that production team. There's like 16 for each guy's attached to these names. There's just people who just sit in the studio all day long, just writing fat ass beats. And that's basically what this album ends up sounding like, is that it's just a bunch of singles, all trying to capitalize on what's popular on the radio right now. Even Pharrell was on this album, so that shows goes to show that you've got big names. You try and make something big, but if you don't bring it, then I'm gonna skip the song. And even the one on Pharrell, it just doesn't fit. It's got that Pharrell sound on it. I think everybody ever listened to a Pharrell song. Back in his day when he was a nerd, it's kind of hard to explain. But when you say the Pharrell sound, I think everybody gets it. And it just kind of sticks out. But you could tell that Pharrell walked to the studio and was like, oh, hey, Michael Made It. Can you make this beat fatter? Can you get, like, FAT? I'm not trying to be hip here. Can you get my shit to sound heavier? That's the same stuff that Kanye did. So if you can't learn yourself, then you gotta, you're gonna hire the guy who knows what to do. I think the single on this was "Good Drink," "Good Drink" by Mike Dean. He's the producer. Yeah, it's a good track, but it doesn't flow. It doesn't fit into the album concept. So I'll sit there. I'll blast that all day in my car, rolling up to work with playing some 2Chainz. People give me some look, but I don't care. But it's just not something I'm going to sit. I want to keep coming back to that. My initial issue is that it's not an album. It's almost a mixtape. 4 a.m. The Travis Scott feature. That's pretty good too. Travis Scott, I think, brings a different sound to the album. It's just I'm not even gonna get involved in trying to break down, a 2Chainz lyric, because I don't think there's necessarily a story behind it. Like the birthday song that he did. Talking about the big booty girls. There's really, are we trying to have like a psychological discussion on the meaning of that track? I'd argue that there wasn't much in there. I definitely think that Murder Beats is trying to bring back that orchestra, like late 90s hip hop vibe. Because these guys listened to that when they were growing up, so they're going to be pulling from it. And I think they're trying to figure out where they're going to go from here. All the stuff that Michael made is Megan. The Black Beatles. He's pulling up a lot of his. He started his record company, Eardrummer. So all the talent he's pulling from that, I think he's trying to see where he's gonna push it, because you gotta stay current. And it looks like, at least for Murder Beats, is that he's trying to do that orchestra vibe thing. I definitely like, my favorite track on the whole album though was "It's a Vibe," and once again it's Murder Beats. It's just, that's definitely something I'm gonna sit and listen to. That's just the way it's got to be. It's so groovy, something that you can just blast as loud as you want, and you're just gonna vibe out to it. That's just the way. That's the way that I like it. And I'm surprised that for Def Jam Recordings, the people that 2Chainz is working with, I'm surprised that they didn't put people, or maybe this was their chance, to make an album that does that concept album. Because Kendrick's the guy who's doing the whole concept album. It's a Good Kid, Mad City. That whole thing's a story. You hit that from start to finish. You're going to want to sit there from the beginning to the end, because each track relates to the other. Now, maybe it went over my head. Maybe it went over my head for 2Chainz. I saw that he was trying to do something, but it was just so loose. It was it wasn't like a, I'm not saying it has to be blatant. I'm just saying, don't make me work for it. Let me be able to give you a nod, saying like, oh, okay, yeah, I see what he was doing. But if I gotta go back and be like, okay, well let's go on the internet and check out all these lyrics and see if they related to other stuff. I'm not that kind of a listener. At least not for 2Chainz. I know there are those out there who would do that. That just ain't me. That's pretty much all I can say on that. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. We're gonna start the $1 throwback.
The dollar throwback.
So what we're gonna try to do here at the $1 throwback is, for the people who collect records out there, I have amassed a collection of records fairly quickly. Once I had the disposable income, I could have a record player that I enjoyed. The most fun that I have when I go to the record store is not that I'm buying the most recent record, the $25. I think the most recent one I bought was Black Star, Mos Def and Talib Kweli. I think I had to pay like $25 for that. That's just ridiculous. That's a CD. And I can listen to that. It's not like I can't find it on the internet. It's on Spotify. And actually, most of the music that you can find anywhere is on Spotify. The point of the story is that I like to dive. You start going through and just looking at names that you never even heard of, and you start looking at like just photos. Sometimes the album cover, you're like, who the hell drew this? Or like, what was their concept? Well, my favorite is looking at like, the late 70s albums where it's just a bunch of guys with like big hair and they're just killing it. And you're like, man, this, it's like perfect example is The Time. If you've ever seen Ice Cream Castles, that record, it's just like 7 dudes in like pimp suits, but like appropriate pimp suits. Like if you try to do that today, people are like, what are you doing? Like you look but back then, like, oh man, you looking fresh. You know what I'm saying? Like their shoes were clean. They're wearing those pimp jackets, like big old hat, sitting on a Cadillac. I'm like, man, I wish I had that Cadillac. Like those kind of albums. And when you see that kind of stuff, and it's $1, oh, you got to pick it up because you never know. And that's how I found the time. I didn't know that the time worked with Prince. That's the kind of stuff you start digging into albums. You start reading the back. And so that's what I want to be focusing on. Unless I'm digging the album I'm going to start with, I want to start digging into my dollar throwbacks. So the first one we're going to talk about is a band called Firefall. And I figured we should start with their first album, the self-titled album, Firefall. It's a 1976, like, I'd call it like a country rock band, but they're not country. You know, they're not like that southern country rock. They're not Lynyrd Skynyrd, but they're in that area. You know, like when you listen to it, you can be like, okay, yeah, these guys are from '76. It just kind of fits. And they had their single, "You Are the Woman," was number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100. So this was huge in '76. If you've never heard the band Firefall, the name, I swear you've heard that song on the radio while you're flipping through the oldie station. But the best thing about digging through the $1 records is that when you listen to the other songs, the other tracks on the album, you're like, why would they even focus on that one? Well, "You Are the Woman" is just a flute on it. It's like it's like saccharine sweet pop music of '76. And so just to disregard that track when you're looking for some like really classic, like late '70s country rock. Like these guys are from like Colorado. So they're listening to like John Denver. They're listening to, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Doobie Brothers. Like back when everybody was listening to it. And my favorite thing about listening to Firefall is that they were from the time period where a record studio would invest in somebody. You would get signed for a multi-record deal, not just one, not just two, but for like, they're like, okay, we're going to invest in you. We can tell that you've got some skill, and we're going to spend our time trying to teach you how to create a successful record. I always go back to this, is like, you look at Pink Floyd, it took 4 albums to get serious. Dark Side of the Moon was not the first album. It took them all that time and all that studio time to learn how to record, to learn what a pop song is, to learn how can you sell something at the most effective, how you going to grab the largest audience. Record companies don't invest in people like that anymore. It's too expensive. You look at YouTube, the way you do it now is you got to have 1 million views. You got to say, hey, record studio, I am bringing this group of people with me. That's what happened to Chief Keef. Chief Keef, he hit it big on YouTube. Who picked him up? Kanye. Kanye was like, all right, I'm going to invest in you. Well, he blew it, at least in my opinion. Like, he had heard from him and ever again. Kanye said, I'm going to put some money on you. What are you going to do? It's a gamble. It's always a gamble. That's what Young Money does. Young Money waits for somebody to hit it. And then they're like, okay, bring me that crowd that you did the work for. I'd argue that's why a lot of the musicians aren't as talented. It's because they're not being molded like they used to. Like, why do you think Michael Jackson was the best? He was like a 7, 8-year-old hanging out with the Motown greats when Motown was Motown. Stevie Wonder, he was a kid too. Go back to Stevie Wonder's original albums and start thinking about like what he was playing at the time. He's playing these little pop love songs. Why? Because that's what the formula was for the Jackson 5 as well. And then you think a 9-year-old knows how to sing about love? I mean, come on. Maybe, but I don't know. I feel like you gotta have a little heartbreak. Sing about a little heartbreak. Point of the story is that they should be investing in people. Now, another fun part about doing the dollar throwback is that you can start looking at who is the record company that signed it. Atlanta Records. It was like Atlanta A&R, I think what it was. So when you go to the record store and you start digging and you see like a 70s album, but it's by Atlanta, you can be like, okay, well, hey, I dug this. And these guys weren't investing in stuff that they did not think was going to hit. It's like listening to Decca Records. I think Decca got bought up by somebody else. I mean, they're not live anymore. But Decca Records. Like Conway Twitty. You never heard. He's a real Southern country rock. They make fun of him on the Family Guy show. But no, hey, I'm into that. Point of stories is that if you find any Decca record, pick it up, especially if it's $1. Especially if it's $1, because you might find something you really like. Firefall. What's crazy is that they made their first album in 1 month, just 1 month of recording, and they had a number 9 single on the Billboard Hot 100. They toured with the Doobie Brothers, Leonard Skinner, ELO, Willie Nelson, like I said before. Like they toured with those guys. You think they would just pick anybody to like who would not be any good? Especially back then, because it was all money. You know what I mean? Like, because they were having to invest. Like, they didn't have YouTube. So how do you spread a name? You get that band that you think you're putting your money in, and you're going to put them on with somebody you know. So Leonard Skinner's hot on the radio, and you say, hey, Firefall, you guys should hang out too, because everybody's coming to this concert. If they like that, they may like you. And they may go buy your record next weekend. After they, drink some water or Gatorade. To get their electrolytes back from the late 60s concert experience. What's funny, though, this is why I like always going back, is like, so on the Firefall album, the track No Way Out, it's got like a rock and roll groove, but you can still hear like this, like the 70s in the bass line. So yeah, it's definitely a country rock band. But you think the bass player's not listening to the Ohio players? You think they're not listening to the Brothers Johnson? You think they're not listening that the bass player didn't become a bass player because he was growing up on Motown and James Jamerson? So that's $1 throwback. Hey, if you got anything you want me to review in the future, you can reach us at rextech808 at gmail.com. You can leave a comment in our YouTube page, rextech808. Also, there's a Facebook page, rextech808 Productions. Or you can just hit it Twitter. We got them all hit up here at rextech808. And all these are going to get you to all the things that rextech808 Productions is going to be putting out. We got people who do music. We got people who are going to put out singles, a lot of covers. So keep an eye out for that. Well, hope you guys enjoyed the Beat Factory. Hopefully I'll see you next week.